Welcome to Airgun Extra, brought to you in association with Crackshot, the Southwest's premier airgun centre and ranges. In this week's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the legendary Weihrauch HW77, but before that, I'm back out on the farm and the rats just keep on coming. Right, well, you've just seen a few clips from some of my recent ratting trips on this farm. Now, strangely, they've had quite a late influx of rats. Usually, ratty activity here peaks during the winter when it's cold and wet and there isn't much natural food around. This spring, like I say, unusually, there have been quite a few more rats around than usual. There are grain stores here, so there's a serious attraction in that. I've been making pretty frequent visits, shot quite a few rats over the last couple of weeks, but I'm convinced that there are more to be had. We've actually turned up during daylight. I don't actually expect to see the rats moving during daylight here, but we wanted to have a bit of a recce. Firstly, from a safety point of view, farmers have a habit of moving machinery and implements around and leaving them lying about the place. We didn't want to be stumbling over those if we turned up at dark. But more significantly, I just want to have a quick look around and see if there are any clues as to where the ratty activity is and how much there is. So we've had a bit of a look around. We've seen plenty of ratty footprints in wet mud. We've seen lots of their excavations, and that's some of the problems they're causing here. Not only are they stealing feed, and obviously they carry a disease risk too, but they're literally undermining walls. So yeah, as you can imagine, the farmer is very keen to have them got rid of. So, as I've said, the grain stores are the main attraction. One thing I have done with the benefit of having some daylight is I've put a couple fistfuls of grain just in what I think are going to be strategic spots where rats are going to be moving between where they appear to be nesting and where they're feeding. Now, it might not make any difference because there's so much feed here anyway, but it could just help me to get them to stop in places where I can get nice, clear shots. So, to give you a quick run through the kit that I'm going to be doing that shooting with, the gun is my Daystate Huntsman Revere Safari Edition. It's a gun I use a lot. I've actually got two of them in sub 12 foot-pounds. This one's a 2.2, just a little bit more close range stopping power, great for ratting, and obviously being sub 12, it's all the gun you need for this relatively close range shooting. Very accurate, very dependable side lever action that's not going to leave me fumbling to reload in the dark. I'm running it on JTS dead center pellets, the 16 grain version. A lot of my guns like them. This one really likes them. It's literally, particularly over ratting ranges, pellet on pellet, so no concerns about the accuracy on that front tonight. Optics wise, that's a really interesting one. I've done a fair bit with this recently. It's the Hikmicro Alpex Pro. What a piece of kit. Now, the first thing to blow me away with this was its optical performance. Even in daylight and particularly in low light, the full colour image is incredible. Just, yeah, it literally sets a new standard. Also remarkable in terms of night vision. Obviously, I'm going to be putting an IR illuminator on here in a moment so that we can use it into total darkness. Other game changers with this digital scope is the fact they've made it much more like a traditional telescopic sight to operate. So you now have a rear zoom wheel with an oversized throw lever. Just makes it so straightforward to use in the dark, and again I'm often wearing gloves, so really quick and easy zoom. And you've also now got side focus similar to the parallax adjustment on a lot of telescopic sights, so again straight from the get-go it feels very, very familiar. 30mm tube, I've dropped it straight into my usual ever faithful Sports Match scope mounts, and you can see I've actually got adapters on here that rise it up a little bit. So basically I've been using this scope on numerous different guns. You can save different zero profiles on it, so you know, chopping and changing with a quick check of zero on the range, and you can switch between guns and other different setups. But so what I've done here, I've been using it with Picatinny mounts. I've got a dovetail rail on here, I've put an adapter, but also the adapter gives me a little bit more height and just keeps the saddle nicely clear of the magazine on the Huntsman. I don't want to go too much into the technical side of the Alpex Pro. I've already done a detailed review video, but if you want to know all of the specifications, I'd suggest that you take a look at the Scott Country website. Other significant piece of kit is I've got the Eagle Vision Cam Helia moderator on here. It's a brilliant caliber specific moderator that you've got different inserts that you can swap out to make it specific to the caliber gun that you're using, which just makes it more efficient. It might sound a little bit louder than it really is because we're going to be shooting inside a shed tonight, but goodness me, it really does a great job of stifling the muzzle report on this setup. So yeah, I think that is the main kit items. As I've said, we're just waiting for it to get properly dark now so we can hunker down and hopefully pick off a few rats when they start moving under the cover of darkness. Right, well, we've got ourselves settled into a spot that enables me to cover what I think are plenty of promising areas, and so much for me saying that the rats here won't be moving until it gets dark, because I have actually managed to shoot one while it was still just about light. In fairness, it was in the sort of dying moments of light. We didn't have the main camera set up. I didn't have the IR illuminator on the Alpex Pro, so I used it in colour mode, and yeah, to be honest with you, it was testament to the colour performance of this digital scope. I managed to shoot that rat very cleanly in the sort of gloom in which, with a traditional scope, I wouldn't have been able to see a thing. But it's pretty much properly dark now. We're geared up for the night shift, and hopefully before too long we'll be shooting some more. Well, that one is right on the edge of the grain store there. It's what's attracting them to this farm at the moment, and it's where I expected to see a few. Yeah, so no surprises there, and I'm glad to be off the mark. Another one on the edge of the grain heap there. Lovely clean kill, and just testament to the precision of this setup. Well, that one was in pretty much exactly the same spot as where I took the previous one, and it's pretty close there with this setup. At that range, it needs quite a lot of holdover. Now obviously with this scope I've got the benefit of a laser rangefinder and a ballistic calculator. It's working an absolute treat and it's keeping my shots absolutely bang on target. Well, there were actually a few out then. That spot seems to be an absolute favourite. It's usually worth a few shots. Now, shooting that one has obviously spooked the others, but I hope that they'll be back out before too long. Well, I was about to call it a night then. I've had a very long, quiet wait. I don't think I'd had a shot for more than half an hour, but just had that one. And it wasn't the only rat on the move then. Now again, that shot will have momentarily spooked any others that were out, but I'm going to give it a bit longer just in case. Well, it really does feel like we've had our lot from here now. It's gone completely dead, and in all honesty, I'm not entirely surprised. As I said at the outset, I've been doing quite a lot of shooting here recently. I've hit the rats very hard, and you know, the intention is to get rid of them, and I do think I've got them on the back foot. But the great thing is tonight that the kit has worked absolutely brilliantly, and it's enabled me to take complete advantage of the opportunities that have cropped up. Now, I'm under no illusion, even though it's gone quiet here, there are still rats around, and certainly on the other areas of the farm. So I'll be back again in a couple of nights, and I will keep plugging away until they're gone. I love a bit of farmyard ratting, and there seems to be no shortage of opportunities to do it this year. Right then, next up, let's take a look at the iconic Weihrauch HW77 underlever Springer. The gun I have here is a genuine icon. It is the legendary Weihrauch HW77K. Now, I used to want this airgun when I was at school, and about 40 years on, it is still one of the best spring and piston airguns that money can buy. And that is because a rolling development program has kept it bang up to date. The HW77 is available with a laminate stock option, and this is the more traditional beach stock, which has a recommended retail price of £610. Now, that may sound like a lot of money for a spring and piston airgun, but this fixed barrel classic is a potential match winner and can also rival the accuracy of a PCP. And no doubt some of you would also say, yeah, but you could buy a PCP at that price point. You'd be right, but it would be nothing like the quality of this airgun. The HW77 is definitely what I would describe as an adult-sized airgun. It's 102 centimetres long and weighs about 4 kilos. Now, it's no lightweight, but I do actually like a bit of heft in a spring-powered airgun, because it just helps to soak up what recoil there is. Now, as I would expect from Weihrauch, the build quality is rock solid. This is a gun that's been designed and constructed to give years of dependable service. Now, all of the engineering, It looks really, really neat, and the finish of the metalwork is flawless. So the stock is ambidextrous. It's got a classic sporter look to it with some nice grain patterning, and I like the fact that the finish isn't too shiny. So you've got a nice long forend, and I like the way that it tapers in at the front and also has that nice forward sweep. A little bit back, you have got two generous panels of checkering, which are nice and crisp and help to enhance grip. The pistol grip is steep and chunky and really fills the hand. There are no obvious signs of compromise on this ambidextrous stock. Now it gives really good trigger attack, and it feels comfortable whether you're shooting thumb up or thumb around. And like the forend, you've got those two panels of crisp checkering on both sides. As you can see, this gun is supplied with open sights fitted. Now the cheek piece has been profiled to give good eye alignment when using them. However, it is also perfectly high enough for comfortable shooting if you decide to fit a scope, as long as you don't use extremely high mounts. Now the stock is finished with a soft rubber butt pad, and there's a really tidy black spacer between that and the woodwork. The HW77K has a 37cm barrel, and it's available in 177 and 2.2 calibers, and also .20 and 2.5 to special order. Now you can see that the foresight element of the open sights is, as you would expect, positioned at the front of the barrel, and it's very simple to remove. It actually sits on top of the underlever retainer mechanism, but more on that later on. The rear sight element sits on a dovetail rail, and like the foresight is very simple to remove should you decide to fit a telescopic sight. Now the rear element can actually be rotated to give you a choice of 4 different notches. Now these are quality open sights. They're made from metal, and the windage and elevation dials turn with clear, positive stops for precise and confident adjustment. The HW77 is equipped with Weihrauch's legendary record trigger unit. Now it's got a lovely metal blade, it's got a slight sweep to it, and a lightly grooved flat face, which feels absolutely great. Now it's a very simple trigger to adjust, but I've tested it straight out of the box as usual, and it is great. So first stage weight and travel feel spot on, then comes to an unmissable stop point, and that's followed by a crisp, creep-free and totally predictable second stage break. The cocking and loading process is very simple. You just press the button at the front of the underlever retainer to release the sprung ball that holds it in place. You then draw the underlever down, and it is a silky smooth stroke. That concludes with a nice positive click as the automatic safety catch is engaged. Now the cocking stroke also opens the breech cover so that you can load a pellet direct to the back of the barrel. Now that soon becomes second nature after a bit of practice. So once you've loaded up, return the underlever until it clicks back very securely into position, and you're good to go. The little button type safety catch is positioned at the rear of the cylinder. Now if you need to reset it after pushing it in, you can't just push it back from the side. However, if you draw the underlever back down, the safety will ping back out again at the end of the stroke. So it's then standing proud in the safe position, ready for you to push back in when you're ready to take the shot. This is a full power air gun. The .22 caliber test gun is actually running at about 11.5 foot-pounds with H&N Barracuda 15 pellets. It's doing it nice and consistently too, with variation remaining within 10 feet per second over a 10-shot string. Most importantly, the firing cycle is nice and smooth. What recoil there is fast and controlled and comes straight back into the shoulder, and it's also free of that excessive twang and reverberation that can really blight cheaper spring-powered air guns. The HW77K is more than accurate enough to warrant fitting a telescopic sight. Now, as I've said, the open sights are very simple to remove, and scope mounting is then on that nice long dovetail rail, which gives you plenty of clamping space and also incorporates 3 holes to accept a recoil arrestor pin. Now, I've been using a scope with 2-piece mounts for my accuracy testing, and I've had absolutely no problems whatsoever with scope creep. And if you do your bit, this is potentially a very accurate airgun. Now, I'm not the best shot with recoiling airguns, but even I have been able to consistently achieve half-inch groups at 25 yards when shooting from the support of the bench. So the Weihrauch HW77K has competition-winning pedigree and is also more than capable in the field. It is a rock-solid German classic that has been kept bang up to date and delivers consistently accurate fixed barrel performance without the hassle and expense of charging gear. Now, I wanted one of these air guns when I was a kid, and I still want one now. This is one review gun that I'm going to be very reluctant to hand back.
The Great British Shooting Show hits the NEC Birmingham from the 12th to the 14th of February 2027, the UK's biggest and best shooting event. Buy tickets online today.
I'm afraid that's all we've got time for this week, but there is much more to come. Thanks again to Crackshot. There's a link to their website in the show description, and thank you for tuning in. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and do give us a follow on the Airgun Extra Facebook page. We have got loads more content coming during the coming weeks. Until then, enjoy your shooting and stay safe.